What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all having an amazing day. Today I've got some more crazy entitled parent stories which you're gonna love, so sit back, relax, and let's get straight into them. Entitled mum tells kid to climb tree the kid was just expressly forbidden to climb. Then karma hits. Now, this is not nearly as bad as some of the stories I've read on here, but even so, this experience from yesterday features one of the most entitled parents I've ever encountered in the wild. In the city where I live, there's a botanical garden. It's private property, but most of it is accessible to the public for free. In the middle of the garden, there's a small cafe, and yesterday, my girlfriend, our daughter, and I met up for coffee there with another couple and their daughter. Right next to our table, outdoors, there was a small tree that a bunch of children aged approximately 4 to 8 were climbing in. We'd been there for about half an hour when a gardener or something, it was evident from his clothes that he worked in the garden, not really sure in what respect though, came by and told the kids politely but firmly that they were not allowed to climb in the trees in the garden. The trees are from all over the world and most of them don't grow here naturally, so I imagine it would be quite expensive to replace one should it get damaged. The kids didn't seem too upset about it and ran back to their respective parents. They did not all belong to the same family/party of visitors. 2 girls aged around 4 ran back to their mother sitting about 60 feet away sipping wine, and the gardener went about his business. About 10 minutes later, one of the mothers approached our table with a sour look on her face and the girls in tow, and the following dialogue ensues. "Are you the ones who told my daughter she couldn't climb this tree?" No, it was some guy that works here. The entitled mum's tone was now a bit softer now that she realised that none of us had told off her daughter. "Oh, I see. Well, did you see where he went?" "No, I'm afraid not." The entitled mum then turns to her 2 girls. "If you want to climb here, that's fine. If they don't want children climbing the trees, they should have a playground." She then returned to her wine. Me and my company were a bit baffled, but didn't intervene, as frankly none of us were in the mood to come between a Karen and whatever her precious kid deserved. But just 5 minutes later, one of the girls fell out of the tree and hit the ground face first with a good thud. We asked her if she was alright, but before we'd finished the question, she started wailing as if her head had split open. Luckily, she didn't fall from very high up and was probably more startled than hurt, but even so, that's some karma if ever I saw any. You know, it is and it isn't. Yes, it's karma for the entire family, but not for that one kid. You know, she was fine with going off when told that she wasn't allowed to climb the tree anymore. It was her mum that was really advocating for them going back and climbing the tree, so it feels unfair, in my opinion, that the daughter had to take that fall. If anything, I wish the mum had been hurt, but you know, obviously that wouldn't really have been possible. The only way that would have been possible if the mum had said, "You know what, I'm going to climb the tree myself," and then she had fallen out of it and hurt herself. The one thing I hope is that this daughter isn't too badly hurt. It sounds like she's okay, just, you know, probably a bit startled. Overall, yes, it's karma, but I wish the karma had been solely on the entitled mum and not on her kid. Seriously though, this entitled parent is ruining this whole botanical garden for any other kid that might want to go there, because this is how a business like this becomes kid-free. You can't really deal with this sort of stuff, you know, kids climbing on really expensive trees on their own, potentially really hurting themselves. You know, if that continues, if more entitled parents say, "I'm not listening to the rules, I'm going to do what I want," then yeah, this place is going to become kid-free very quickly, and you know, that suits nobody. So, entitled people going to botanical gardens, please do not do this, just please listen to the groundskeeper. It's just embarrassing. Now moving on to our next story. Entitled mother thought I was faking my disability for attention and almost made my injury worse. This happened when I was 10 years old. So I was playing in the local park with my 3 older brothers, Jake, 11, John, 12, and James, 14, and our neighbours Cal, 10, and Craig, 13. We all were laughing, having fun, when John had the idea to play a game on the roundabouts. The game is pretty dumb and dangerous, but really fun back then. It involved 5 of us holding onto the outside poles as one of us pushed the roundabout as fast as possible. We all had to hold on for dear life or we would get flung off. Last one holding on would win. Yeah guys, if you haven't played that game, have you really lived? I don't think so. We all ran up to the roundabout and got into position. My brothers thought it was a bad idea for me to play because I have a joint disability, later got diagnosed with HEDS. But because there hadn't been an incident for a while, they let me play. Now just quickly guys, HEDS or EDS is Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, a condition that affects the connective tissue in the body. It is weaker but more flexible. The type OP has, hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, is one of the most common types of EDS. Essentially, the soft tissues that are supposed to hold you together don't. Back into the story now. I held on, wrapping my legs and arms around the pole along with Cal, John, Craig and Jake. James began pushing the roundabout really fast and we were all screaming and shouting in excitement. For me, the screams of joy turned to screams of severe pain as my leg had dislocated around the pole. As the roundabout spun, it was slowly pulling my legs apart and it was agony. James realized what was happening and immediately grinded the ride to a halt. Everyone was panicking as they couldn't move me, and any attempt they made it more excruciating, and I just screamed louder. In a panic, James, John and Craig told Cal and Jake to stay with me so they could run and get my dad. They didn't know how to fix it, but thought my dad would still be able to get me off the roundabout with minimum pain. They ran off and a crowd gathered of parents and their kids to see what was going on. The parents did try to touch me, but Jake and Cal explained that I have a disability and the others are getting my dad who knows what to do. They added that moving me might make it worse. A lot of the parents looked very concerned, with some kids looking really confused as I looked like I was just sitting there crying. Enter the entitled mother, EM, and her annoying daughter, EK, who was maybe about 12 years old. They approached the group and asked what was going on, and the other parents explained the situation. The entitled mum immediately said how ridiculous everyone was being, saying that I am clearly just trying to get attention by the looks of things. Cal was with me, patting my back, telling me I was going to be okay, while Jake was telling the other kids not to be mean, as they supposedly were saying the same as the entitled mum. The entitled kid then told her mum how she really wanted to go on the roundabout. The entitled mum told her to hold on a minute and approach me and Cal. She began telling me to get off the roundabout, and Cal said I couldn't. He tried to explain that our siblings had gone to get my dad, but the mum ignored him. She told me to get off again before grabbing me and trying to yank me off. I screamed in pain again, begging her to stop, but she just responded, "Stop being overdramatic and get off." I felt an intense pain like never before in my legs and was crying uncontrollably, trying to hold onto the pole. The entitled mum kept telling me to stop being a baby and stop faking it and let her little baby on. She pulled me with a lot of force and I fell onto my back with my legs still around the pole. Cal started screaming for Jake and Jake ran over and tried to tackle her, telling her, "Leave her alone!" The entitled kid then jumped in, telling Jake that I was an attention seeker and tried hitting Jake, saying to leave her mum alone. At this point, the entitled mum was trying to drag me and the other parents saw my leg. Now it was visibly obvious that my leg was dislocated. The other parents jumped in and dragged the entitled mum away from me as she was screaming, "She's faking! She isn't disabled! She's faking!" The other parents, along with Cal, tried to put me back in my original position. The entitled kid ran after her mum, crying because Jake did end up hitting her, according to Jake. The other parents stayed with me, Cal and Jake until my dad arrived while telling their kids to play on other equipment. The entitled mum was still screaming and shouting about how we are attention seekers, while the entitled kid cried for her mum. James, John, Craig and my dad arrived and ran over to me, with my dad gently unhooking my leg from the pole and carefully, along with the other parents, carrying me to a nearby bench. My dad told me to do the brave trick and I started biting onto my sleeve as my dad popped my leg back into place. He thanked the other parents for their help and they told my dad what happened to the entitled mum. He was fuming and asked them where she was, but when he looked around he saw the mum and the kid running out of the park. The entitled mum must have seen my dad's face because he looked like he was out for blood. After my leg was popped in, I stopped crying and thanked everyone after calming down a bit. They all wished me well and went back to their kids. My dad carried me out of the park and took me to my mum at her work. She was a nurse and Jake told our parents everything. They were horrified and my mother said that if she kept doing what she was doing, she would have caused me serious injury. I never ran into the entitled mum or her entitled kid again, but my dad told me that if I ever saw her again to call him immediately. Oh wow, I cannot think of much worse than this. I mean, I've never dislocated something myself, thank the Lord, but I know from hearing from other people how potentially painful it can be. That's bad on its own, but then when you couple that with an entitled parent saying that you're faking, yeah, it cannot get much worse than that. Oh, you know what? There's a special place in heck for people like that. All I can say to OP is good luck with your disability. It sounds absolutely horrible, and I really hope that this sort of thing doesn't happen again, but it sounds like it may very well. All I can say is that next time I hope there isn't an entitled parent to compound your misery and pain. Oh, what a horrible thing to happen. I'm so sorry. I just don't understand in this situation why you would ever call someone a faker. Like, why would you want to, what would you gain from faking this situation? I just don't get it. I'm speechless. Jesus, this entitled mum is such an embarrassment, and so is her kid. Like, it's just such a shame that there are people like this in the world. Even if you do strongly suspect that someone may be faking for whatever reason, don't say it, just help them out, make sure they have everything they need. No, they're clearly not faking, let's be realistic, they're in massive pain, help them out, don't be I can't say it, but don't be an idiot. Come on, it's just so trashy. Anyway guys, that is going to do it for this episode of Entitled Parents. If you have enjoyed it and you want more from me right away, I've left a couple of videos up on screen. Go and click on them for some more Entitled Parents content. Hopefully it's not as crazy as this, but let's be honest, it probably is. Also guys, remember to drop a like on the video, comment down below, and make sure you are subscribed to my channel with notifications on so you never miss one of my daily uploads. There'll be another one right here, same time, same place tomorrow. You don't want to miss it, do you? You really just don't want to miss it.